If you are the kind of person who feels hurt when people ignore you, if you feel anxious when nobody checks on you, if you feel empty when you are alone, then listen carefully. Because you are not weak, you are just addicted. Addicted to validation, addicted to being seen, addicted to being accepted. And Buddhism teaches that the fastest way to suffer is to give your inner peace to other people's hands. Because when your happiness depends on someone's attention, you will never be free. But the moment you learn to enjoy your own company, the moment you stop announcing your plans, the moment you stop needing people to clap for you, your entire life changes. So if you want a mind that cannot be controlled, a heart that cannot be broken, and a peace that cannot be stolen, then this message is for you. 1. Your peace begins the day you stop needing people to understand you. One of the biggest reasons people suffer silently is because they keep craving one thing that is very dangerous for the mind. They want everyone to understand them. They want people to see their intentions clearly, to feel what they feel, to recognize their struggles, and to finally say, I understand you, I support you, I respect you. They want their family to approve their decisions. They want their friends to clap for their growth. They want their partner to appreciate their efforts. They want society to stop judging them and start accepting them. And at first, this desire looks normal because every human being wants love and connection. But the problem begins when your peace starts depending on it. Because the moment you need people to understand you in order to feel calm inside, you become emotionally trapped. Now your happiness is no longer in your hands, it is in the hands of other people's opinions, moods, and limitations. Buddhism teaches that suffering begins when we cling, and one of the most painful things we cling to is the idea that people must see us the way we see ourselves. We cling to being seen as good. We cling to being seen as right. We cling to being seen as misunderstood, but pure. We cling to being seen as someone who deserves respect. But this attachment quietly destroys your inner peace because the world is not fair, and people are not always emotionally mature. Many people are not listening to understand you. They are listening to respond to you. They are listening to correct you. They are listening to compete with you. They are listening to judge you. They are listening to collect information about you, so later they can use it in a discussion, a joke, or even in gossip. And the sad truth is, some people don't even want to understand you, because if they understand you, they must accept that you are growing, changing, improving, and leaving your old life behind. And that makes them uncomfortable. Think about it deeply. When you explain yourself too much, you don't become more respected, you become more drained. Because each time you try to convince someone, you are basically saying, please give me permission to live my life. And even if you don't say it directly, your energy says it. You start writing long messages. You start defending small choices. You start justifying why you don't talk to certain people anymore. You start proving why you're busy. You start proving why you're not available. You start proving why you're changing. And slowly, you stop living naturally. You start living like you are on trial. Like your life is a case in court, and you must provide evidence to everyone around you. 2. Keep your life private because not everyone wants your blessings to grow. Let's be honest, one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start improving their life is that they announce everything too early. They tell people their goals before the results are real. They share their plans before the work is finished. They post their next move while their foundation is still weak. And they do it because deep inside, they want excitement, they want support, they want people to say, wow, I'm proud of you. But Buddhism teaches something very powerful. The moment you expose your inner journey to the wrong people, you invite unnecessary suffering into your life. Because not everyone who smiles at you is happy for you. Not everyone who says good luck truly wants you to succeed. And sometimes, the people closest to you are the ones who feel the most uncomfortable when your life starts changing. The painful truth is, many people love the version of you that stays small, the version of you that needs them, the version of you that is always available, the version of you that never grows too fast. Because when you grow, you become harder to control, harder to influence, and harder to keep in the same box. Your success reminds them of the things they didn't achieve. Your confidence reminds them of their insecurity. Your discipline reminds them of their laziness. Your peace reminds them of the chaos they still carry inside. So even if they don't hate you, your growth can silently trigger them. That's why sometimes family members and friends will start acting strange when you begin leveling up. They may start making jokes about your dreams. They may call you too serious. They may tell you don't change. They may pretend they are giving advice, but what they are really doing is trying to pull you back to your old version. Not because they are always evil, but because your new life makes them uncomfortable. Buddhism teaches that energy is real and intention is deeper than words. Some people will clap for you in front of you, but envy you behind your back. Some people will support you with their mouth, but compete with you in their heart. Some people will listen to your plans not because they want to help, but because they want to know what you're doing so they can talk about it, judge it, or secretly hope it fails. And when you share too much, you expose your goals to opinions that were never meant to touch them. You expose your peace to negativity that was never meant to enter your mind. You expose your future to people who still live in fear, doubt, jealousy, and weakness. And once their words enter your head, your focus starts getting disturbed. You start overthinking. You start questioning yourself. You start feeling anxious for no reason. And you don't even realize it happened because of what you shared. That is why keeping your life private is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is protection. It is self-respect. Privacy means you are no longer living for attention. You are living for your own growth. It means you don't need anyone to clap while you are building. You don't need people to know your next move. You don't need validation to stay motivated. You move like a monk, quietly improving day by day and letting results speak when the time is right. Because real growth is fragile in the beginning. Your dreams are like a small flame. If you expose it to too much wind, it can go out. So protect it. Keep your plans to yourself. Keep your progress silent. Keep your wins low-key. And let people find out when it is already done. Because when you learn to move in silence, nobody can interfere with your mind. Nobody can discourage you. Nobody can distract you. And that is true peace. And remember this clearly, my friend. Not everybody deserves access to your life. Not everybody deserves to know what you are working on. Not everybody deserves to sit close to your dreams. Some people will only bring doubt, drama, and negativity. Some people will only watch you to compare, not to celebrate. So the more private you become, the more peaceful you become. The more selective you become, the more powerful you become. This is not arrogance. This is awakening. In Buddhism, you don't fight negativity with anger, you avoid it with wisdom. So keep your life private, protect your energy, and grow in silence. 3. Living alone becomes beautiful when you stop calling it lonely. Most people are not scared of being alone, they are scared of what they will feel when they are alone. Because when there is nobody around, when the phone becomes quiet, when there are no messages, no noise, no attention, no distractions, suddenly the mind becomes loud. And that's the moment many people panic. They don't know how to sit with themselves. They don't know how to face their own thoughts. They don't know how to feel their emotions without running away. So they keep themselves surrounded by people, not because they love the company, but because they fear silence. They fear emptiness. They fear the truth inside them. But Buddhism teaches that being alone is not something to fear. It is something to master, because solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is feeling empty, but solitude is feeling free. Loneliness is feeling unwanted, but solitude is choosing peace. Loneliness is begging for connection, but solitude is building a relationship with yourself. The reason living alone hurts people is because they were trained to believe that happiness must come from outside. They were trained to believe that if you're alone, you must be missing something, like a person, like love, like friends, like attention, like validation. But look at the truth. Even people who are surrounded by others can still feel lonely inside. Because loneliness is not about the room being empty, it is about the heart being disconnected from itself. A person can be at a party with 100 people, laughing and smiling, and still feel like nobody truly understands them. They can be in a relationship and still feel abandoned. They can be famous and still feel empty. So the problem was never being alone. The problem was never learning how to enjoy your own presence. In Buddhism, living alone becomes beautiful when you stop seeing it as rejection and start seeing it as purification. Because when you are alone, you finally get to hear yourself without interference. You finally get to think without being influenced. You finally get to heal without being pulled back into old habits. You finally get to rebuild your energy without people draining you. Solitude becomes the place where you meet your real self again. The version of you that was hidden under stress, under people-pleasing, under fake smiles, under constant explanations. And when you spend time alone in peace, you start realizing something powerful. You don't need people to complete you. You don't need noise to feel alive. You don't need attention to feel valuable. You start feeling full from within, and that feeling is rare because most people never reach it. But understand this clearly, living alone is not about cutting off the world or becoming cold. It is about learning to stand strong inside yourself so you stop begging the world to hold you up. When you can enjoy your own company, you become dangerous in a peaceful way. Because now, nobody can manipulate you with attention. Nobody can control you by giving you love one day and ignoring you the next. Nobody can threaten you with abandonment. You become emotionally independent, and that is real strength. That is the kind of strength where you can love people without needing them, and you can walk away without destroying yourself. Living alone also teaches you self-respect, because when you are alone, you stop tolerating anything just to avoid emptiness. You stop accepting toxic friendships just to have company. You stop replying to disrespect just to feel included. You stop forcing relationships that drain your soul. You become selective, not because you hate people, but because you finally understand your value. You begin to choose peace over popularity. You begin to choose calm over crowds. You begin to choose growth over gossip. And slowly, your life becomes cleaner, lighter, and more meaningful. So don't fear being alone. Fear staying around people who make you lose yourself. Don't fear quiet nights. Fear a life where you never meet your true self. Because the truth is, solitude is where your mind finally becomes clear. It's where you stop performing and start becoming. It's where you stop chasing and start attracting. It's where you stop begging for love and start building it inside you. And once you reach that level of inner fullness, you no longer feel lonely, you feel protected, you feel free, you feel at peace. 4. People's validation is a drug, and you must detox from it. If you truly want to live alone with peace and power, you must understand one hard truth about the human mind. Validation can become an addiction. It starts small, and it looks harmless in the beginning. You post something and you enjoy the likes. You share your achievement and you enjoy the compliments. You dress well and you want someone to notice. You help people and you want appreciation. You speak and you want approval. You sacrifice and you want recognition. And again, This is not automatically bad because every human being wants to feel valued. But the danger begins when your heart starts depending on it, when your mood changes based on people's reactions, when your confidence rises when they praise you and collapses when they ignore you, when your peace disappears the moment someone doesn't understand you or respect you. That's when validation stops being a nice feeling and becomes a drug. And the worst thing about this drug is that it never satisfies you for long. Today you get compliments and you feel good for some minutes, but tomorrow you need more. Today someone supports you and you feel strong, but next time they don't, you feel weak. Today people clap and you feel confident, but later, when they criticize, you feel broken. That is why Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. Because when you attach your worth to anything outside of you, you become unstable inside. Your happiness becomes shaky. Your mind becomes restless. You become a person who is always hungry for attention, always checking for reactions, always wondering what people think. You begin to live like your life is a performance, not a journey. And this is why so many people feel exhausted even when nothing bad is happening. Their mind is tired from constantly seeking confirmation. Look at how deep this addiction goes. Some people can't even make a decision without asking others first. They want to change something in their life, but they need permission. They want to start a business, but they need approval. They want to leave someone toxic, but they need validation. They want to be alone for peace, but they need society to say it's okay. They want to work on themselves, but they need people to understand them first. And because of this, they remain stuck. Not because they are weak, but because they have trained their mind to depend on external voices instead of their own inner wisdom. Buddhism calls this ignorance not because you are stupid, but because you have forgotten your own power. And here is something most people don't realize. Validation addiction also destroys your authenticity, because when you start needing people's approval, you stop being honest about who you are. You become a person who shapes their personality based on what gets accepted. You laugh at jokes you don't find funny. You act confident when you feel broken. You act kind when you feel drained. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree with things you don't believe in. You stay silent when you should speak. You stay in places that suffocate your soul just because you want to belong. And slowly, you lose your real identity, because you are living for applause, not for truth. Buddhism teaches that the true self is not built by people's opinions. It is discovered through awareness, through silence, through letting go. Because the more you observe your craving for validation, the more you see how it controls you. You notice how your mind wants to impress people. You notice how your heart feels uncomfortable when nobody notices your efforts. You notice how your ego becomes hungry for recognition. And once you notice it, you can finally begin to detox. Just like any addiction, the first step is awareness. You must see what is happening inside you, not with hatred, but with honesty. So how do you detox from validation? You start doing things without announcing them. You start improving without posting. You start winning without showing off. You start healing without telling everyone. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't even respect your journey. You stop trying to look perfect for society. You stop trying to look successful for relatives. You stop trying to prove your worth to friends who secretly compete with you. You stop chasing attention like it is love, because attention is not love. Many people give attention and still don't care. Many people clap for you and still want you to fail. So you must become smart. You must stop feeding your soul with weak things that only last for moments. Another powerful way to detox is to learn to sit with discomfort. Because when you stop seeking validation, your ego will scream. It will say, "But what will people think?" It will say, "You should post this." It will say, You should tell them your plan. It will say, you should prove you're not weak. That voice inside you is not your higher self. That voice is your addiction. That voice is your conditioning. That voice is your fear of being invisible. But Buddhism teaches that the ego is like a child that cries when it doesn't get what it wants. If you keep giving it what it wants, it will never grow up. But if you stay calm and let it cry, it will slowly become quiet. And then you will feel something you've never felt before: inner stability. Because when you stop craving validation, you become powerful in a rare way. You stop reacting to people's opinions. You stop overthinking every small thing. You stop feeling hurt by every comment. You stop seeking approval for your existence. You stop living like you must be liked to be worthy. And that is when you truly become free. Your peace becomes untouchable. Your confidence becomes natural. Your life becomes private, focused, and protected. And you no longer need people to clap for you, because you finally learned how to respect yourself. And that is the biggest goal of this lesson: to build a mind that does not beg, a mind that does not chase, a mind that does not depend, a mind that is full from within. Because in Buddhism, freedom is not when you get what you want from people. Freedom is when you stop needing anything from them to feel complete. 5. The more you talk about your plans, the more your energy leaks out. One of the most painful mistakes people make in life is telling everyone what they are about to do before they actually do it. They announce their goals too early. They talk about their dreams too loudly. They share their next move with people who don't even understand their heart. And they think they are doing something good because they think talking about it will bring motivation, support, and encouragement. But Buddhism teaches something deeper. When you speak too much about your plans, you expose your energy to interference. And this interference doesn't always come in the form of direct hate. Sometimes it comes in the form of friendly advice. Sometimes it comes as jokes. Sometimes it comes as doubt. Sometimes it comes as silence. Sometimes it comes as people ignoring your vision. And even if the person doesn't say anything negative, their energy can still weaken your focus. Because the moment your plan leaves your mouth, it becomes part of the outside world, and the outside world is full of opinions. Many people don't understand this, but your dreams are fragile at the beginning. Your goals are like a seed. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to show people, look, it's growing. You water it, you protect it, you keep it hidden under the soil until it becomes strong enough to survive. But most people do the opposite with their dreams. They expose them before they are ready. They speak about them before they have built the discipline. They share them before they have formed the identity needed to carry that goal. And because of that, they get easily discouraged, easily distracted, and easily broken by small comments. Buddhism teaches that your mind must be protected like a temple. But when you talk too much, you open the doors of that temple to anyone. Every person you tell becomes an opinion you must carry. Every person you tell becomes a voice you must fight later, and that drains you. There is also another truth that most people never realize until they suffer from it. When you talk about your plans, your brain feels like you already achieved something. This is very real. The mind loves recognition. So when you tell people, I'm going to start a business, and they say, wow, amazing, your brain gets a small reward. It feels like progress, even if you didn't do any work yet. When you tell people, I'm going to lose weight, and they say, nice, you can do it, your brain feels proud, even if you haven't trained yet. When you tell people, I'm changing my life, and they say, good for you, you feel strong for a moment, even if your habits are still the same. And then what happens? Your motivation drops, because the mind already tasted the reward without earning it. And Buddhism teaches that chasing reward without discipline is one of the reasons people stay stuck. They love the feeling of success, but they avoid the pain of becoming successful. Now understand something even more powerful. When you talk too much, you attract the wrong audience. Not everyone deserves to know what you are building. Some people listen to your plans not because they care, but because they want information. They want to know what you're doing so they can talk about it. Some people listen so they can secretly compare themselves. Some people listen so they can give you doubts in the form of questions like, "Are you sure you can do that? Do you have money for that? What if it doesn't work?" And these questions look innocent, but they plant fear inside you. Even worse, some people don't want to stop you directly because they don't want to look like a bad person, so they discourage you indirectly. They bring up stories of failure. They remind you of someone who tried and failed. They mention problems before you even begin. And slowly, your fire becomes weaker. You begin to hesitate. You begin to overthink. You begin to question yourself, and you don't even realize it happened because you gave too much access. This is why private people move differently. Private people don't explain themselves too much. They don't speak unless it is necessary. They understand that their energy is limited and their focus is precious. So they keep their plans quiet. They wake up, they work, they improve, they build, and they let results speak. They don't argue with doubters. They don't convince jealous people. They don't beg for support. They stay silent and they stay committed. Buddhism teaches that a calm mind has more power than a loud mouth. Silence protects your direction. Silence protects your consistency. Silence protects your spiritual energy. Think about this. The moment you tell people your plans, you create expectations. And expectations are pressure. Now people ask you, "So when are you doing it? How is it going? Did you start yet?" And even if they mean well, it creates mental weight. Now you feel watched. Now you feel judged. Now you feel like you must prove something. And when you feel pressure, your work becomes stressful instead of peaceful. Your growth becomes heavy instead of natural. You start rushing. You start forcing results. You start trying to look successful instead of actually becoming successful. Buddhism teaches that peace comes from right effort, not from showing off effort. Real effort is quiet. Real growth is slow. Real power is built without announcing it. And here is one of the biggest reasons why talking too much is dangerous. The more people know about your life, the more they feel entitled to it. The more they feel they have a say. The more they think they can comment, the more they think they can criticize. And soon, you stop living for your heart, and you start living for your reputation, and reputation is a prison. Because no matter how good you become, there will always be someone who misunderstands you, someone who envies you, someone who doesn't like you. So why should you give them access to your plans? So the lesson is simple, but it is powerful. Protect your goals. Protect your next move. Protect your vision. Keep it between you and your discipline. Keep it between you and your daily action. Keep it between you and the life you are building. Speak less and do more. Share less and build more. And when you finally achieve what you were working for, you won't need to explain anything. Because results don't argue. Results don't beg. Results don't convince. Results speak for themselves. In Buddhism, there is a deep wisdom. The quiet mind sees clearly, and the silent person moves strongly. So from today, stop talking too much about what you will do. Start becoming the person who does it. Move in silence, grow in peace, and let the world find out later when it is already done. 6. Detachment means loving people without becoming controlled by them. Most people think detachment means you become cold, heartless, or rude. They think detachment means you stop caring about everyone, you stop loving, you stop feeling, and you become like a stone. But Buddhism teaches something completely different, and once you understand it, your entire life will change. Detachment does not mean you stop loving people. Detachment means you stop chaining your peace to people. It means you stop letting other people control your emotions. It means you stop losing yourself just to keep someone close. Detachment is not the end of love. It is the end of suffering. Because the reason you suffer is not always the person. The reason you suffer is your attachment to what you expect from that person. Attachment is when you need people to behave a certain way so you can feel okay. You need them to respect you. You need them to reply fast. You need them to stay loyal. You need them to be consistent. You need them to treat you the way you treat them. You need them to choose you the same way you choose them. And when they don't, your heart breaks, your mind overthinks, your mood gets destroyed, your peace disappears. That is attachment. And it becomes painful because you are trying to control the uncontrollable human beings. People have their own minds, their own feelings, their own wounds, their own ego, their own selfishness, and their own confusion. So when you attach your happiness to people, you are basically placing your heart into something unstable, and anything unstable will eventually shake you. Buddhism teaches that life is always changing. Nothing stays the same. People change, relationships change, feelings change, attention changes, even love changes. So the person you love today may not be the same tomorrow. The friend who supports you today may distance themselves later. The family member who respects you now may misunderstand you in the future. And that is not always because you are unlucky. That is simply the nature of life. Impermanence. This is one of the strongest teachings in Buddhism. Everything is temporary. And the moment you accept this truth, you stop suffering the same way. You stop clinging. You stop begging. You stop forcing. You stop thinking you can hold people forever. Because you understand that holding too tightly is what creates pain. Detachment means you can love people deeply, but you don't lose your dignity for them. You can care about someone, but you don't destroy your self-respect just to keep them. You can help people, but you don't drain your soul for those who never appreciate you. You can forgive, but you don't keep allowing the same disrespect again and again. Many people confuse love with tolerance. They tolerate bad behavior. They tolerate being ignored. They tolerate being used. They tolerate being disrespected, and then they call it love. But Buddhism teaches that true love is not self-destruction. True love has wisdom. True love has boundaries. True love has balance. Because love without wisdom becomes suffering. Look at what happens when you are not detached. You start chasing people. You start chasing attention. You start chasing conversations. You start chasing love. You start chasing closure. You start chasing apologies. You start chasing explanations. And the more you chase, the smaller you become. The more you chase, the more your value drops in your own eyes. The more you chase, the more you feel anxious, desperate, restless, and emotionally unstable. Buddhism teaches that craving is a fire. The more you feed it, the more it grows. If you keep feeding your craving for people, you will never be satisfied. That's why detachment is not coldness. It is a spiritual discipline. It is when you stop feeding craving. You stop feeding the fire. You stop giving your power away. Detachment means you understand something very mature. People will do what they are, not what you want. People will treat you based on their level of awareness, not based on your value. Some people are kind, some people are selfish. Some people are loyal, some people are temporary, some people are sincere, some people are fake. And when you are attached, you keep expecting sincerity from people who are not sincere. You keep expecting loyalty from people who don't even respect themselves. You keep expecting maturity from emotionally immature people, and then you get hurt, again and again. Detachment means you stop creating pain by expecting the wrong things from the wrong people. You see people for who they are, not who you wish they were, and that awareness alone saves you from so much suffering. Another powerful part of detachment is learning to walk away without hate. Many people can walk away only when they are angry, when they are filled with pain, when they are broken, when they are traumatized. But Buddhism teaches a higher level. Walk away with peace, walk away with calm, walk away without revenge, walk away without needing to destroy someone's name, walk away without proving anything. Walk away because you love yourself, not because you hate them. This is a rare kind of strength, because anyone can leave when they are angry, but only a wise person can leave when they still have feelings and still choose peace. Detachment is when you say, I care about you, but I will not lose myself for you. I wish you well, but I will not suffer for you. I respect you, but I will not tolerate disrespect. This is why detachment also gives you emotional control, because when you detach, you stop reacting to everything. You stop reacting to people's mood swings. You stop reacting to their silence. You stop reacting to their cold behavior. You stop reacting to their fake love, because you understand that your peace is your responsibility. Your mind becomes stable. Your heart becomes grounded. And when your heart is grounded, nobody can shake you. This is the true meaning of being untouchable. Not that nothing hurts you, but that nothing destroys you. Detachment also teaches you to stop begging. Many people are suffering not because they are unloved, but because they keep begging for the wrong love. They beg for attention from people who only give it when it benefits them. They beg for time from people who never make time. They beg for loyalty from people who are loyal only to their own ego. They beg for respect from people who don't even respect themselves. Buddhism teaches that when you keep begging, you lose your inner dignity. And when you lose your dignity, you lose your spiritual strength. Detachment is when you stop begging for love and start attracting it through self-respect. Because when you respect yourself, you stop accepting small love. You stop accepting half effort. You stop accepting confusing behavior. You stop accepting people who only come to you when they need something. You become a person who only allows what is peaceful. And one of the most beautiful results of detachment is this. You stop feeling afraid of losing people. This fear controls millions of lives. People stay in toxic relationships because they fear being alone. People stay in disrespect because they fear abandonment. People tolerate pain because they fear loneliness. But detachment frees you from that fear, because now you are emotionally complete within yourself. You don't depend on someone else to feel valuable. You don't depend on someone else to feel alive. You don't depend on someone else to feel safe. And this independence is not arrogance, it is inner maturity. It is the ability to stand alone and still feel peaceful. It is the ability to walk away and still feel strong. So remember, detachment is not cutting people off for no reason. Detachment is not isolating yourself from love. Detachment is not becoming cold. Detachment is becoming wise. It is choosing peace over drama. It is choosing self-respect over attention. It is choosing inner freedom over emotional slavery. You can still love people, but you stop needing them. You stop clinging to them. You stop holding them too tightly, because when you hold anything too tightly, you suffer when it moves. And life always moves. In Buddhism, the highest power is not controlling others. The highest power is controlling your own mind. And detachment is the training ground for that power. It teaches you calmness. It teaches you maturity. It teaches you strength. It teaches you peace. And once you master detachment, you become a person who can love deeply without suffering deeply. You become the kind of person who is present, kind, respectful, and caring, but never weak, never desperate, and never controlled. That is real spiritual power. 7. The strongest people move in silence and let life speak for them. If you want to reach a level of peace that most people will never experience, you must learn one of the deepest and most powerful life skills: silence. Not the silence of fear, not the silence of weakness, not the silence of being afraid to speak, but the silence of inner strength. The silence of a person who has nothing to prove. The silence of a person who is finally done explaining themselves. The silence of someone who knows who they are, where they are going, and why they are doing it. Because the truth is, the loudest people in the room are usually the most insecure inside. They talk too much because they want attention. They argue too much because they want to feel right. They post too much because they want to feel seen. They share too much because they want to feel important. But the strongest people, they don't move like that. The strongest people become quiet. They become focused. They become private. They become unshakable. Buddhism teaches that your words carry energy. Every time you speak, you release energy. Every time you explain, you spend energy. Every time you argue, you leak energy. Every time you try to prove yourself, you drain your spirit. And what most people don't realize is that life is not just about having potential. It's about protecting your energy long enough to transform that potential into reality. So if you keep talking about everything, if you keep announcing everything, if you keep telling everyone your next move, your problems, your goals, your wins, your pain, your plans, you will always feel tired, even if you are not working hard, because your mouth is stealing the energy your future needs. Silence is not just about being quiet. Silence is about being disciplined. It means you don't react to everything people say. You don't reply to every comment. You don't defend yourself every time someone misunderstands you. You don't explain your story to people who only want to judge you. You don't fight to be understood by minds that are not ready. You don't waste your life trying to correct the wrong opinions of people who don't even matter in your journey. Silence means you stop giving people too much access to your emotional world, because the more access they have, the more power they have to disturb you. The biggest reason silence is powerful is because it helps you avoid unnecessary battles. Most fights in life are useless. Most arguments don't change anyone. Most explanations don't fix misunderstanding. Most defending doesn't bring respect. In fact, the more you explain yourself, the more people question you. The more you defend yourself, the more people attack you. The more you talk about your goodness, the more people doubt you, because you are feeding their attention, and attention can become dangerous in the wrong hands. Buddhism teaches that peace is not about controlling the world around you. Peace is about controlling your mind within you, and the mind becomes calm when you stop giving your energy to everyone and everything. Silence also gives you the power to observe, and observation is wisdom. When you talk too much, you miss signs, you miss energy shifts, you miss people's true intentions. But when you become quiet, you see everything. You see who claps for you genuinely and who claps with jealousy. You see who supports you in silence and who only supports you when you are useful. You see who respects you when you're not present and who only smiles in front of you. Silence gives you vision, because when you stop speaking, you start noticing. And when you start noticing, you stop getting fooled. Many people ruin their own life by talking too much. They share their personal plans, then someone discourages them. They share their relationship problems, then people start judging. They share their next move, then people interfere. They share their peace, then someone tries to compete. They share their growth, then someone tries to copy or destroy it. Not because the world is always evil, but because the world is full of mixed energies. Some people are sincere, but some people are not. Some people are pure, but some people are jealous. Some people will clap, but some people will secretly pray you fail. And when you understand this, you stop being naive. You stop being too open. You stop thinking everyone deserves access to your life. You become selective, and that is intelligence. Buddhism teaches that a wise person protects their mind like a sacred temple, and in a temple, you don't allow everyone to enter. You don't allow anyone to walk in with dirty feet. You don't allow disrespect. You don't allow noise. You don't allow chaos. Your mind is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your life is sacred. So you must keep it private. Not because you are afraid, but because you are finally aware. A private life is a peaceful life. A quiet life is a powerful life. When you stop talking too much, your life becomes stronger because nobody knows where to attack you. Nobody knows what you're planning. Nobody knows what you're building. Nobody knows what you're healing from. And because they don't know, they can't interfere. Silence also makes you emotionally stronger because it trains you to stop seeking attention. When you stop sharing everything, at first it feels uncomfortable. Your mind will want to post. Your heart will want to prove something. Your ego will want people to notice. Your craving will want validation. But if you stay disciplined, something beautiful happens. You become stable within yourself. You stop needing people to clap. You stop needing people to ask. You stop needing people to notice. You start doing things for you. You start growing for you. You start healing for you. And that is the moment your power becomes real, because now it is not dependent on anyone. And remember, many people don't want you to win, not because they hate you, but because your victory makes them feel small. Your improvement makes them feel insecure. Your discipline makes them feel guilty. So they will try to distract you. They will try to pull you into drama. They will try to involve you in gossip. They will try to keep you emotional, because emotional people are easy to control. That's why silence is a shield. Silence blocks drama. Silence blocks manipulation. Silence blocks unnecessary conflict. Silence keeps you focused on your purpose. And purpose is what makes life meaningful. The strongest people let their results speak. They don't beg for respect. They don't ask for approval. They don't try to convince people that they are improving. They improve. They don't argue that they are strong. They become strong. They don't announce that they are changing. They change. They don't tell people that they are becoming disciplined. They wake up and do the work. And when the results show, nobody can deny it. Because results are louder than explanations. Results are stronger than arguments. Results don't need permission. So from today, become the kind of person who moves in silence. Let people wonder. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Let them think whatever they want. You don't need to fight with words. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to stay consistent. You just need to stay focused. You just need to keep building quietly. Because the greatest revenge is not hurting people. It is becoming untouchable. Becoming so strong, so peaceful, so disciplined, so focused that nobody can disturb you anymore. In Buddhism, silence is not empty. Silence is full of awareness, full of clarity, full of discipline, full of peace. And when you master silence, your life transforms. You stop wasting energy. You stop attracting unnecessary enemies. You stop creating unnecessary suffering. You stop living for validation, and you finally start living for freedom. That is why the strongest people don't talk too much. They don't show too much. They don't explain too much. They don't complain too much. They just move in silence, protect their energy, and let life speak for them when the time is right. 8. Stop trying to be liked. Start becoming untouchable. Most people don't realize this, but one of the biggest reasons they stay stressed, emotional, and mentally tired is because they are secretly trying to be liked by everyone. They don't say it loudly, but their actions prove it. They speak carefully so nobody gets upset. They agree with people even when they don't believe it. They laugh at jokes that hurt them. They tolerate disrespect so they don't look rude. They keep helping people who never appreciate them because they want to be seen as good. They keep replying even when they are drained because they don't want to be called selfish. They keep showing love even when the love is not returned because they want to be accepted. And this is exactly how you lose your power, because the more you try to be liked, the more you start living like a servant to people's emotions. Buddhism teaches that the mind suffers when it is trapped in craving. And craving is not only about money or pleasure. Craving can also be emotional. Craving can be attention. Craving can be approval. Craving can be being loved. Craving can be being included. Craving can be being respected. And once your mind becomes addicted to being liked, you start shrinking your real self. You stop being honest. You stop being firm. You stop being authentic. You start acting in a way that keeps people comfortable, even if it destroys your peace. And this is why people-pleasing feels like kindness, but it slowly becomes self-betrayal, because your heart keeps sacrificing itself just to avoid rejection. The truth is, you cannot be liked by everyone. Even if you are kind, some people will still hate you. Even if you are loyal, some people will still betray you. Even if you are quiet, some people will still talk about you. Even if you help people, some people will still accuse you. Even if you mind your business, some people will still try to disturb you. Because people don't treat you based only on who you are, they treat you based on who they are. Based on their jealousy, based on their insecurity, based on their ego, based on their pain, based on their past. That's why trying to be liked by everybody is a losing game. It will drain your energy, confuse your identity, and keep you trapped in fear. So what is the solution? Buddhism teaches the solution is not to hate people or become cold. The solution is to become unattached to their approval, to become emotionally independent, to become peaceful even when people don't clap for you, to be okay even when people don't support you, to stay focused even when people doubt you. Because the moment you stop needing validation, you stop being controlled, and control is the biggest thing you must escape. Not control by governments, not control by systems, but control by opinions. Control by reactions, control by fear of being judged. That type of control is the most silent prison in the world. You need to understand something very important. When you chase being liked, you attract fake relationships, because fake people love people, pleasers. They love someone who always says yes. They love someone who always forgives. They love someone who always stays quiet. They love someone who always gives. Why? Because they can use them. They can drain them. They can take from them. But the moment you start having boundaries, the moment you start choosing yourself, the moment you stop over-explaining, the moment you stop begging for attention, those same people suddenly call you changed. They call you selfish. They call you cold. They call you arrogant. But the truth is, you didn't become bad. You became awake. You became aware. You became strong. You became someone who cannot be played anymore. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering, and the attachment to being liked is one of the most painful attachments because it makes you live a fake life. A life where you are always adjusting your personality, your opinions, your behavior, your vibe, your confidence, just to match what people want from you. And if you keep doing that for years, one day you will wake up and you won't even recognize yourself. You won't know what you like, you won't know what you believe, you won't know what you want. You will only know what other people expect from you, and that is a dangerous life, because when you lose yourself, No relationship can save you. No friend can save you. No attention can save you. You will still feel empty inside. So you must train your mind to accept this truth. Some people will not like you, and that is okay. Some people will misunderstand you, and that is okay. Some people will leave you, and that is okay. Some people will talk about you, and that is okay. Because your peace is more valuable than their opinion, your growth is more important than their comfort, your future is bigger than their approval. When you accept this, you start becoming untouchable. Untouchable doesn't mean nobody can hurt you. Untouchable means nobody can control your soul. Nobody can shake your identity. Nobody can steal your peace. Nobody can make you beg. Nobody can make you chase. You become stable inside yourself. Now listen carefully, because this is where real detachment begins. Detachment is not something you do once. It is a daily practice. Every day your mind will try to chase approval. Every day your ego will want attention. Every day your heart will want to prove something. But you must train yourself like a monk. You must remind yourself, I don't need to be liked. I need to be free. You must remind yourself, I don't need to explain my life. I need to live my life. You must remind yourself, I don't need validation. I need peace. And slowly, your mind becomes calmer. Your emotions become lighter. Your decisions become stronger. Your life becomes clearer. And once you stop chasing approval, you will notice something shocking. The right people will respect you more, the real ones will love you more, and the fake ones will reveal themselves. Because when you stop begging, you become valuable. When you stop chasing, you become powerful. When you stop being available for disrespect, you become unforgettable. So, even if you lose some people, you gain yourself. And gaining yourself is the greatest victory anyone can ever achieve. So stop trying to be liked. Stop giving your energy to people who don't deserve it. Stop performing for attention. Stop shrinking for comfort. Stop living like your worth is decided by people's reactions. Because the day you stop craving validation is the day you become truly free. The day you become unshakable. The day you become untouchable. 9. Your real life starts when you stop living for an audience. Most people are not living their real life. They are living a life that is being watched, a life that is being judged, a life that is being measured by people's reactions. Even if they don't post online, even if they don't show off, they still live mentally like an audience is sitting in front of them. They constantly ask themselves, what will people think? They think about how they look, how they sound, how they appear, and how others will react. They plan their life like they are acting in a movie instead of living in reality. And this is one of the biggest silent reasons why people feel exhausted inside. Because living for an audience means you are always performing, always proving, and always trying to protect your image. But Buddhism teaches something that can free you instantly. Your life becomes heavy when you live it for other people. Your life becomes peaceful when you live it for your own soul. Look carefully at how people lose themselves. They don't choose what they actually want. They choose what looks impressive. They don't follow what feels right. They follow what will get approval. They don't speak from truth. They speak from fear. They don't move from inner wisdom, they move from pressure. And slowly, without realizing it, they build a life that looks good from the outside, but feels empty on the inside. They buy things they don't even enjoy just to feel respected. They stay in relationships that hurt them just to avoid being judged. They stay in jobs that crush their soul just because people will say it's stable. They tolerate disrespect because they want to look nice. They smile through pain because they want to look strong. They keep posting happiness because they don't want anyone to know they're struggling. And this is the prison of the audience, a prison where your life decisions are controlled by fear of opinions. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is attachment, and one of the most dangerous attachments in modern life is attachment to image, attachment to how people see you, attachment to being admired, attachment to being respected, attachment to being liked. Because when you attach yourself to an image, you start living for something fake. An image is not real. It is just a picture people create in their mind about you, and that picture changes every day depending on their mood, their jealousy, their insecurity, their misunderstanding. So if you build your identity around that picture, you will always feel anxious, because your identity is in unstable hands. One day they respect you, the next day they doubt you. One day they praise you, the next day they criticize you. One day they love you, the next day they forget you. And because of this, your peace becomes impossible. This is why living alone feels difficult to some people, because when you are alone, there is no audience. Nobody is watching, nobody is reacting, nobody is praising, nobody is judging. And that silence forces you to face your real self, not the version you show people, not the version you perform, the real self. And for many people, that is scary, because they realize they don't even know themselves anymore. They don't know what they genuinely enjoy. They don't know what they actually believe. They don't know what they truly want, because they have been living for reactions for so long that they forgot their own voice. But here is the beautiful truth. The moment you stop living for an audience is the moment you start living for freedom. Your mind becomes lighter, your heart becomes calmer, your life becomes simpler. You stop trying to impress people who don't care about you. You stop chasing attention from people who won't help you grow. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop trying to prove that you are doing well, and instead you start focusing on what actually matters: your peace, your purpose, your progress, and your inner stability. Buddhism teaches that the highest form of strength is self-mastery, not winning arguments, not becoming famous, not becoming rich just to show others. Real strength is being so stable inside that you don't need attention to feel valuable. You don't need people to clap to feel confident. You don't need likes to feel worthy. You don't need approval to feel secure. You become someone who is calm even when nobody sees your effort. You become someone who works silently, someone who improves privately, someone who grows without needing to announce it. And this is a level of power that most people will never reach, because most people are addicted to being seen. Now, understand this clearly. People don't want you to win, not always because they hate you, but because they are uncomfortable with your growth. Your improvement reminds them that they are still stuck. Your peace reminds them that they are still chaotic. Your discipline reminds them that they are still lazy. Your confidence reminds them that they still hate themselves. And because of that, they will try to pull you back into performance. They will try to keep you talking, explaining, sharing, arguing, proving, because a person who is performing is distracted. A person who is performing is emotionally unstable. A person who is performing is easy to manipulate. But a person who is private, a person who is calm, a person who is detached, that person becomes dangerous because they cannot be controlled. When you stop living for an audience, you also stop living for useless conversations. You stop chasing validation. You stop getting emotional over disrespect. You stop responding to every small thing. You stop trying to clear your name. You stop trying to fix how others see you, because you understand something very mature. People will believe what they want to believe, and you cannot control that. Some people will always misunderstand you. Some people will always see you through their own pain. Some people will always judge you based on rumors. Some people will always envy you, even if you did nothing wrong. So why waste your energy trying to win in their mind? That is not your job. Your job is to win in your own life. This is also why privacy is so powerful, because privacy kills performance. When nobody knows your next move, you stop trying to impress. You stop feeling pressure. You stop feeling watched. You stop feeling like you must prove something every day. And then you start becoming your real self. You start building your life from the inside out. You start making decisions based on peace, not based on approval, based on truth, not based on fear, based on purpose, not based on image. And that is the moment you start living in a higher way. So ask yourself honestly, how many things do you do just so people will respect you? How many things do you wear just so people will notice you? How many things do you post just so people will think you're doing well? How many decisions do you make just so you can avoid judgment? How many times do you stay silent when you want to say no? How many times do you force yourself to be around people just to avoid being alone? If you can be honest about this, then you are already becoming free, because awareness is the first step to detachment. Buddhism teaches that freedom is not found outside, it is found inside. Freedom is not in people's approval, it is in your ability to live without it. Freedom is not in being admired. It is in being at peace even when you are ignored. Freedom is not in being praised. It is in being stable even when you are criticized. That is real power. That is real detachment. That is living alone without loneliness. So from today, stop living for an audience. Stop performing your life. Stop proving your happiness. Stop showing your strength. Stop announcing your plans. Stop sharing your private world to people who don't deserve access. Live quietly, build quietly, heal quietly, win quietly. Because the moment you stop living for others, you finally start living for yourself. And that is when your real life begins. 10. Your power returns the day you stop reacting to people's opinions. One of the biggest reasons people lose their peace is not because life is too hard, it's because they react too much. They react to every comment. They react to every attitude. They react to every delay. They react to every message that didn't come. They react to every person who ignores them. They react to every small disrespect. They react to every little change in people's behavior. And what happens when you react too much? You become emotionally controlled. You become like a puppet. And the string of that puppet is not even in your hands, it is in people's hands. People decide your mood without even trying. One person's opinion can ruin your whole day. One person's cold behavior can destroy your confidence. One person's jealousy can make you angry. One person's disrespect can make you overthink all night. And slowly, you start living like you have no control over your mind. But Buddhism teaches something very powerful. The real prison is not outside you, it is inside you. It is the prison of reaction. Reaction is the most dangerous habit because it steals your energy instantly. The moment you react emotionally, you lose clarity, you lose control, you lose balance. Your mind becomes heavy, loud, and restless. And the worst part is, people can trigger you even when they don't matter. Even someone you don't respect can disturb you. Even someone who is not doing better than you can make you doubt yourself. Even someone who is toxic and negative can steal your peace. That is why Buddhism teaches that peace is not about changing people. Peace is about mastering yourself. Because you cannot control the world. You cannot control people. You cannot control their opinions. But you can control your response. And the moment you control your response, your power returns. Most people don't understand how deep this problem is. People don't just react with anger. They also react with sadness. They react with fear. They react with insecurity. They react by explaining themselves too much. They react by posting more. They react by trying to prove something. They react by chasing attention. They react by sending long messages. They react by begging for closure. They react by trying to fix how they look in people's minds. And all of these reactions come from the same weakness. You care too much about what people think. You care too much about their approval. You care too much about their opinions. You care too much about being accepted. And this is what keeps your mind trapped, because when you care too much about people's opinions, you will always be anxious. You will always be shaken. You will always be fighting invisible battles in your head. Buddhism teaches that people's opinions are like the wind. One day the wind blows in your favor, one day it blows against you. It changes constantly. And if you build your confidence on wind, your confidence will never stand. Today people praise you, tomorrow they criticize you. Today they support you, tomorrow they doubt you. Today they respect you, tomorrow they talk about you. Today they love you, tomorrow they forget you. That's why a wise person does not live from the outside. A wise person lives from the inside. They don't need people to respect them to feel strong. They don't need people to understand them to feel peaceful. They don't need people to approve them to feel worthy. They know who they are. They trust their path. And that inner certainty becomes their shield. When you stop reacting, you become dangerous in a calm way. Because now nobody can control you. Nobody can manipulate you with silence. Nobody can play mind games with you. Nobody can disturb you with disrespect. Nobody can make you angry just by throwing words at you. You become like a mountain. The storm can hit you, but you don't fall. You stay stable. You stay grounded. You stay strong. And this is the highest level of power, because real power is not shouting louder. Real power is staying calm when people try to shake you. Think about how many people waste their life reacting. They spend their energy proving themselves to relatives. They waste time trying to convince friends who secretly compete with them. They ruin their mental health trying to look perfect for society. They get angry at people who don't even understand them. They fight with people who don't even deserve their attention. They lose sleep over comments from people who are not even living a better life. And all of that emotional energy becomes a loss, a spiritual loss, a loss of time, a loss of focus, a loss of growth. Buddhism teaches that attention is life. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your life to. So if you keep giving attention to negativity, you are giving your life away. This is why detachment is not just walking away from people. Detachment is walking away from reactions. It is walking away from emotional slavery. It is saying, I will not let anyone decide my peace. It is saying, I will not let other people's opinions control my mind. It is saying, I will not leak my energy to useless drama. This is real maturity, because childish minds react instantly. Mature minds observe, they pause, they breathe, they stay calm. And then they respond only if necessary. Buddhism teaches mindfulness, and mindfulness means you are aware before you act. You are conscious before you speak. You are calm before you decide. And let me tell you something most people don't want to accept. People will talk about you no matter what. If you stay quiet, they will say you're arrogant. If you speak, they will say you talk too much. If you improve, they will say you're trying too hard. If you stay the same, they will say you're wasting your life. If you help people, they will say you want attention. If you stop helping, they will say you became selfish. So what's the lesson? You will never win in people's minds. So stop trying. Stop fighting that battle. Stop proving yourself. Stop correcting everyone. Stop explaining everything. Let them talk, because their mouths are not your responsibility. Your mind is. The moment you stop reacting, you start winning quietly. You become more focused. You become more disciplined. You become more peaceful. You start saving your energy. You stop wasting your time. You stop fighting unnecessary battles. And slowly, you start building your life like a silent warrior. People will not see your growth in real time, but one day they will be shocked by your results. And you will smile, not because you want revenge, but because you finally mastered yourself. So how do you stop reacting? You train your mind. You catch yourself in the moment. You notice when your heart wants to respond. You notice when your ego wants to prove something. You notice when you feel triggered. And instead of reacting instantly, you pause. You breathe. You remind yourself, this is not worth my peace. You remind yourself, my energy is expensive. You remind yourself, I don't need to answer everything. And every time you do this, you become stronger. Every time you stay calm, you take your power back. Every time you don't react, you become more untouchable. Because the truth is, when you react, you lose power. When you stay calm, you gain power. When you argue, you leak power. When you stay silent, you protect power. When you chase validation, you lose power. When you detach, you regain power. This is the path of Buddhism. This is the path of inner freedom. Not controlling people, controlling yourself. So, from today, decide that your peace is not for sale. Decide that your emotions are not open for everyone to touch. Decide that your mind is a sacred place and not everyone deserves access. Stop reacting to opinions. Stop reacting to gossip. Stop reacting to disrespect. Stop reacting to people who don't matter. Focus on your growth. Focus on your inner stability. Focus on becoming so calm inside that the world can't shake you anymore. And that is when you truly become free. 11. The day you stop explaining yourself, your life becomes untouchable. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck, stressed, and emotionally tired is because they keep explaining themselves to everyone. They explain why they are changing. They explain why they are quiet now. They explain why they don't call anymore. They explain why they don't want to hang out. They explain why they are focused. They explain why they are not available. They explain why they stopped tolerating disrespect. They explain why they have boundaries. They explain why they are tired. They explain why they need space. And the sad part is, even after all the explaining, people still don't understand. Because the truth is, many people were never looking for your explanation. They were looking for your weakness. They were looking for a reason to judge you. They were looking for something they can use against you later. That's why the more you explain, the more you lose. You don't gain respect, you lose power. Buddhism teaches that suffering is not always caused by what happens to you, but by your attachment to how people see you. When you keep explaining yourself, it means you are still attached to being accepted. You still want people to approve of your decisions. You still want people to say, okay, I understand you now. And that attachment becomes a silent chain. Because now you are living with a heavy pressure inside. You feel like you must make everyone comfortable with your life. You feel like you must answer everyone's questions. You feel like you must justify your choices. You feel like you must prove your intentions. And that pressure destroys peace. It turns your life into a courtroom where everyone is a judge and you are always defending yourself. But here is the painful truth. The people who truly love you won't need too many explanations. They will understand your silence. They will respect your distance. They will support your growth without making you feel guilty. And the people who don't truly respect you will never be satisfied no matter how much you explain. You can speak with honesty, softness, and respect, and still they will twist your words. You can explain your side calmly, and still they will misunderstand you on purpose. You can show them your good intentions, and still they will search for something negative. Why? Because some people don't want clarity, they want control, they want access. They want you to remain small enough that they can understand you, and when you start growing, they feel threatened. So they demand explanations, not because they care, but because they want to pull you back. The need to explain comes from fear. Fear of being seen as wrong, fear of being judged as bad, fear of losing people, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being rejected. And Buddhism teaches that fear is born from attachment. You fear losing what you are attached to. You fear rejection because you are attached to acceptance. You fear judgment because you are attached to your image. You fear losing people because you are attached to them staying. But when you start letting go, you start feeling free. You start realizing that your life does not need approval to be real. Your healing does not need permission to be valid. Your boundaries do not need explanations to be respected. The right people will respect your growth even if they don't fully understand it. And the wrong people will never respect it, even if you give them 100 reasons. Let's make it simple and clear. Every time you explain yourself too much, you are giving people a remote control to your emotions. Because now you are waiting for them to accept your words. Waiting for them to forgive you, waiting for them to approve you, waiting for them to say, "Okay, you're allowed to live like that." And while you are waiting, you suffer. Your mind keeps thinking. Your heart keeps worrying. Your peace stays disturbed. And all of this suffering happens because you gave someone else too much authority over your life. That's why the strongest people don't explain too much. They don't argue. They don't beg to be understood. They don't chase closure. They don't defend their every move. They don't try to correct every false opinion. They don't fight for acceptance. They simply become consistent. They let their actions speak. They let their results speak. They let time speak. Because time exposes everything. Time shows who was real. Time shows who was fake. Time shows what was true. Time shows what was a lie. And when you allow time to speak for you, you stop exhausting yourself with words. In Buddhism, silence is not weakness. Silence is wisdom. Silence is the language of the disciplined mind. It means you are no longer addicted to reactions. You are no longer emotionally hungry for acceptance. You are no longer trying to win people over. You are no longer explaining yourself to people who don't deserve access to your heart. And the moment you reach this level, you become untouchable. Because now nobody can bait you into arguments. Nobody can drag you into drama. Nobody can pull you into guilt. Nobody can disturb you with questions. Nobody can control you by misunderstanding you. And here is what happens when you stop explaining. You start seeing people clearly. You realize who truly respects you and who only liked you when you were easy to control. You realize who genuinely supports your growth and who secretly competes with you. You realize who loves you and who loves the benefits they get from you. Because the moment you stop over-explaining, the masks fall off. People reveal their true intentions. Some will get angry, some will accuse you, some will guilt-trip you. Some will say you changed, some will say you became selfish. But in reality, you didn't become selfish. You became awake, you became strong. You stopped letting people use your kindness as a weakness. So from today, start practicing this. Do not explain yourself to everyone. If you must speak, speak once with clarity and respect, but never beg to be understood. Never chase acceptance. Never drain yourself trying to convince people. Protect your energy. Protect your mind. Protect your peace. Because your peace is more important than someone's opinion of you. Your future is bigger than the conversations people want to trap you in. Your growth is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. The moment you stop explaining yourself, your life becomes lighter, your mind becomes quieter, your heart becomes calmer. and you finally start living the way Buddhism teaches, not attached to approval, not controlled by opinions, not desperate for validation, but grounded in your own inner truth. And that is what real freedom looks like. So now you understand the truth, and it's a truth most people will never accept. Your peace was never supposed to come from people. Your power was never supposed to come from attention. Your happiness was never meant to be rented from validation. Because the moment you depend on people to feel worthy, you become weak in a world that doesn't care about your feelings. Buddhism teaches that the strongest person is not the one who controls others, but the one who controls their own mind. And that is why living alone is not a punishment. It is a training ground. It is where you stop chasing. It is where you stop begging. It is where you stop performing. It is where you stop explaining. And slowly, you become a person who is calm no matter what happens. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to support you. You don't need everyone to clap for you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them talk. Let them watch. Because while they are busy judging, you are busy evolving. While they are addicted to gossip, you are addicted to growth. While they are trying to prove something to people, you are building yourself in silence. And that is why privacy is power, detachment is freedom, solitude is strength. When you learn to be alone, you stop fearing loss. And when you stop fearing loss, nobody can control you anymore. From today, make a decision. Keep your life private. Keep your plans quiet. Keep your heart protected. Stop giving everyone access to your energy. Stop reacting to every opinion. Stop explaining your journey to people who don't even respect your struggle, because your life is sacred, your mind is sacred, your future is sacred, and not everyone deserves a seat in the front row. So live quietly, move silently, grow deeply, and one day, without arguing, without begging, without proving, your results will speak so loud that nobody will be able to deny who you became. If this message hit your heart, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more deep Buddhist wisdom, and comment below. I choose peace over approval.